Hi guys, today we're going to be talking about mental models. More specifically, what they are, how to identify them, how they relate to our professional and business careers, and how to change them. Mental models are how your brain responds to a foreign stimuli. For example, when a ball gets thrown at your face, you automatically flinch. How we form that response is through patterns. Your brain can recognize patterns. After experiencing that type of stimuli so many times, the brain can more rapidly come up with a response to the point where it seems subconscious. That's not always the case, though. For example, my 2-year-old cousin hasn't yet experienced that stimuli, so I could throw a pillow at him and he's going to let it hit him in the head. That being said, mental models are broken down into two categories: conscious and subconscious. The difference between the two is how many times your brain has seen the stimuli. Like I mentioned with the patterns, the more your brain sees it, the quicker it can respond, and then the sooner it comes up with a response until eventually it's so quick you don't even realize it. It doesn't even seem like a complete thought. Our mental models come from a variety of sources, including experience, like the flinch. You automatically flinch when something's thrown at you after so many experiences with that stimuli. Next is education and training. By the time we're 16, we could probably all calculate the slope of a line, and that's something that we learned in math class. The influence of others, like our parents, for example, they influence a lot of what we do, including brushing your teeth or taking a shower. And lastly is incentives and rewards. We tend to follow through with behaviors that we get a reward out of. Now, as I mentioned earlier, it can be really tough to identify our mental models because some we're so used to that they're just subconscious. We don't even think about it before we do them. So, in order to identify them, we just have to really think objectively. Look at our actions from a different perspective. Try to see it from somebody else's point of view. And then, you got to always make the choice that betters yourself. This being said, it's way easier to identify your negative mental models, which is a good thing. The reason that it's easier to identify them is because usually a negative mental model results in some kind of negative effect on yourself. Like myself, I'm always late, and being late leads to stress. So it's easier to see that because I'm always stressed out. When you're happy, you don't really associate that anything's wrong. Now, before we go into how to change your mental model, let's talk about how it affects your professional or business careers. A personal example will be how I mentioned I'm always late. In the professional world, that is a really bad trait to have. For example, they say late is on time and on time is 15 minutes early. Now, for me, that would be a huge challenge, and if I'd show up late to an interview, I might miss an opportunity because there's no way I'm going to get hired if I was late. If you own a business is generally a reflection of yourself. So if you have negative mental models, that'll usually come out in your business. For example, if you cheat and cut corners and lie, that's probably going to reflect in how you run your business and who you hire, and your consumers are going to realize that. Also, negative mental models can lead to missed opportunities. An example in an article I read was talking about the markets in downtown. Generally, businesses avoid downtown markets because it's a low income area with higher crime rates. Now, if you look at it from a different point of view, there's a lot of people downtown. It's a high population density. So, although they have low income, there's still a lot of money down there. So, a way to market that would be to sell a cheaper or more affordable product down there. And then you can capture that value. But if you have a mental model that says to just avoid it altogether, you're missing out on a huge opportunity. Now, on to how to eliminate negative mental models. A good way to eliminate negative mental models is to associate them with some type of punishment. So, for example, my being late, maybe every time I'm late, I could charge myself $1 or something like that. I know that sounds a little corny, but it could work. If you're not just trying to eliminate an old one, if you're trying to form a new one in its place, you're going to have to do something you've never done before. So for myself, if I want to show up on time, I'm going to have to start getting up earlier, taking less time to get ready, making sure I'm out the door in a reasonable amount of time so I can get to where I'm going on time. From there, it's just repeated practice. You just got to make sure you do it over and over again until it becomes a habit, and then eventually it'll just become subconscious like all your other mental models. And that's all I got.